There we go. Just getting that together real quick, everybody. Let me just, there we go. Okay. There we go. Let me just make sure my tie's nice and straight. There we go. Want to know how everybody's doing tonight? Let me just get that like that. There we go. All right. I hope everybody's been doing good so far. I hope everybody had a good week, good weekend. As you know, it snowed Friday and all that. So I know I had the day off, thankfully. But maybe a lot of people didn't. You probably ask yourself, wait, it's not Thursday, it's Monday. So I'm gonna make this quick. I had some real emergency things I had to take care of on Thursday, so I couldn't get the show. But I didn't forget about y'all. People was hitting me up like, "Yo, what happened?" So I kind of wanted to do a makeup show, and get the information out to you guys. I am looking a little bit I got to shave, shave my hair, all that. But anyway, yeah, so unfortunately, I couldn't do the show Thursday last week. So I'm making up for it today. It's going to be kind of quick, straight to the point, same type format that we always do. I will have an announcement to make at the end of the show. So I hope you guys stay tuned for that. And it's basically in regards to what's happening this Thursday. I know normally I say, hey, we're going to wait, hold on. We're going to wait for people in the chat. It's Monday, at 6:30. And a lot of people may still be at work, coming home. But nonetheless, I'm here for y'all to get the information out. A lot of this information you guys may have known already, but I still want to get it out there. And the stuff that I would have been talking about on Thursday, I will make sure that when I talk about it today, it's more of updates, kind of what's been going on since then. But with that being said, hold on. Had to get my notepad. Where is, when you do things not on the day that it's supposed to have been done, you kind of get discombobulated. So I'm just looking for my pen, and I don't know where my pen is at. Ain't that something? So you know what? I'm gonna just have to use this marker. Oh, wait. Got it. Boom. Got one of my favorite colors. Orange. One of my favorite colors. Anyway, enough of that. We're going to get right into the start of the show. And as always, for everybody that's coming back, all my usual suspects, welcome. Thank you. I appreciate you. But if this is your first time, I am a local online news show. I talk about local, national, and international news. I am your host, Aaron Casey, and we have a great action, updated, packed show for you today. So without further ado, we're going to get right into it. And like always, we're going to start with some quick news. This story happened a couple weeks ago. A couple weeks ago. And unfortunately, a Black sister, Black lady, was found deceased in her jail cell. The lady's name is Tanasha Chappell. Chappell, not Chappell, but Chappell. She was 23 years old. And basically what was happening, she was having a medical emergency. Something was happening with her body. Something was going on, and she was asking for help. Basically, to sum everything up, she was asking for help for 16 hours, people. 16 hours she was banging on the door, asking for help. the police people, they would come by. There's a video along with this as well. And so the article that I have for you guys has a link, has a video embedded within the article. So you guys will be able to see the video and read the article. I would highly recommend you guys do both. But she was begging for her life for 16 hours straight. They found her after a while. They stopped hearing her banging on the doors asking for help. They found her in her jail cell, naked on the floor, bleeding from the mouth or something like that. So it's messed up. I have other stories kind of similar to this, and I'll give my thoughts on police and that whole situation when I get to those articles. But for right now, it was messed up. She was asking, she was banging on the door for help. They came, whatever was bothering her, halfway through her banging on the door, she did declothe. She took off her clothes because she might have been hot. Again, we don't know the exact extent of what was going on, but she was in medical distress, and maybe her body was making her hot or something, but she took off her clothes. And when the people came, the nurses or whatever for the jail came, it was like, if you put on your clothes, we'll help you. But it was obvious that this lady was in distress. She wasn't necessarily thinking correctly, and they were just keeping it surface level. Like, hey, if you don't get dressed, we can't help you. Oh, I see you're not dressed, so we can't help you. Very surface level. They didn't want to go anything lower. They didn't try to dig a little deeper. They just kept it very face value. And unfortunately, because they kept it face value, this lady, this 23-year-old lady, lost her life while trying to get help. But we're going to be moving right along. And again, not again, but everything that I talk about, you will be able to find in the description after the show. So you guys, as we always say on the show, do your own research. I'm here to help and make it a little easier. But if you want to know what's going on and formulate your own thoughts and opinions, please, people, read the articles that we post so you guys can get the information for yourself and come to your own conclusion. You may have a different opinion or a thought about what we're talking about, what I'm talking about. That's why you got to do your own research. Again, everything I talk about, you can find in the description box after the show. Moving right along. Second, this is kind of a updated story. A couple during the 2021 elections just passed. A lady was trying to register to vote. Come to find out, she was still, I think she had like a felony charge or something. She had just been on parole or something like that. But because she was locked up, she couldn't register to vote. And she registered to vote. They found out, they called fraud. The Republican Party, the Republicans and the GOP, they just ran away with this particular story. They were saying, see, this proves our point that, Democrats and all of that, they do like to commit fraud. And this kind of played into their narrative on why we got to have stricter voting laws, this, that, and the third. Despite the fact that at least 80 to 95%, even 99% of the time you hear anybody committing voter fraud, it's a Republican, it's a GOP. There was cases in Pennsylvania, a father voted for himself and then tried to pretend that he was his son. The father tried to pretend he himself was his son to vote in the presidential election. Anytime you hear about it, the majority of the time you hear about it, it's because of Republicans trying to do something illegal and not follow the laws that they and the Democrats and just people in general put in place. So this lady, Pamela Moses, she got caught trying to commit voter fraud. But let's put a pause on that. Come to find out, her parole person that's in charge of her parole, messed up. He told, or she told told her, Pamela Moses, that she could register to vote. And so that's exactly what she did. So it wasn't her fault. It was actually a clerical error. And the person that made it, I think, was fired. And again, y'all need to read this article because, as you know, Texas, Pennsylvania, Arizona, Georgia, of course, Florida, all these Republican held states are doing everything in their power to make sure that people like me, like you, don't be able to vote, let their voices be heard. I've stated on this show numerous times why that will hurt. And having this story kind of, again, it makes the GOP's case stronger, but when you actually dig below the surface and get into the details, you actually find out that this lady did everything right that she was supposed to do. And it was the people that it was the cops in that side that didn't do their job properly. So again, y'all need to check this out. Because of that, they are having a retrial. So hopefully she wins this because of the new information that had just come out. Again, y'all need to check this out. And we have to get these the George Floyd registration voter bill. I forgot the other guy's name, voting law. But we definitely have to get these voting rights passed. They're trying to stop us at every step. They don't want us giving out food. You can't wait in line and give out water. Like there's only one polling place. Now, majority of these laws are in the South. Now, I don't live down there, but those laws still affect me indirectly. They make it harder for people who are thinking like me to get our voices heard, to get the people in place to make the laws that make our lives easier, make things more fair for the high class, low class, and everybody in between, make laws and policies to help people who are under the poverty line climb up so that they don't have to live in poverty. They can start making a decent life for themselves and their family. So this is why voting rights is important. And this is why we have to fight tooth and nail every day to make sure that we get that. So definitely, again, check that out. But we're going to move right along. Again, I don't want to keep you. This is a short update video to the video that wasn't there Thursday. So again, I hope you guys enjoy what's going on. But we're moving right along. And this is why voting is important. Starbucks workers at the Mensa, Phoenix, Arizona area, they have passed their voting to unionize. So this is the first Starbucks that will be heading to union to start a union, making sure they get better wages, everything is fair, and they're not just getting fired for nothing. So that's good. We've talked about unions before. When we had Lana on the show, we harped and raved about unions. The only bad union, and I may get flack for this, but hey, I'm just speaking what I speak, police unions. That's a bad union because it's keeping bad cops who kill people, unarmed people on the forces to terrorize and shoot other unarmed Black people. And I just don't want to necessarily make this a Black thing because there have been videos out there where police officers are shooting white people as well. Police brutality it don't see black and white. It just see a police officer and them feeling threatened and wanting to shoot. Now, majority of the time when cops say they feel threatened, it's a Black person on the other end of that gun that's being pulled. So I just don't want to, again, I don't want to necessarily, I mean, it does happen to Black people majority of the time. It does. Let's just be honest about that. But it does happen to white people. And I'm not trying to make this a black or white thing. I'm trying to make this a cop versus the citizens versus the people, us. They need to have better training. The individuals need to have better training. I feel like if a cop were to shoot somebody, they need to go to at least 8 months worth of training to figure out what's going on, whether it be, you know, a white cop shooting a black person or just a cop in general shooting somebody. Stuff needs to happen. These cops need better training so that we can feel protected. They're supposed to protect and serve. And right now, the only people they're protecting and serving is themselves. But again, not to get sidetracked, this story isn't about cops. It's about Starbucks and becoming, starting their first union. So hopefully this energy will trickle to Amazon and other companies that don't have a union, mainly Amazon, because they did try to, they had their union busters out there threatening people, making sure people don't vote yes to have a union. So this is good news when we see Starbucks start their own union. So shout outs to them. That's so awesome. Moving right along, and I'm gonna start to try to pick it up a little bit, pick up the pace. But there's just so much information, so much stuff going on. And again, I'm just getting through the stuff that I didn't get to last week. And of course, we'll get to the big stories and topics that everybody's been seeing on CNN and all of that. Of course, that's Russia and UK. But again, we're going to hold off on that. I just want to get through the rest of the quick news, and then we'll jump on those topics to round out the rest of the show. So if you didn't know, Kim Porter, she was a 20-year veteran on the police force in Minnesota, Brooklyn Center, Minnesota, the same area, not far from where the George Floyd situation happened. So Kim Porter, again, 30-year veteran police officer, did a traffic stop. This was not a routine traffic stop. I never heard this particular law, but in Minnesota, you can't have anything hanging on your rear view mirror. So like a lot of people like to put on those little Christmas trees to make their car smell good. Well, in Minnesota, you can't do that. You can't have, they say it impairs the driver's vision or something. I don't see how it does. It's on the rear view mirror. You're looking forward. Anyway, I don't know. But this gentleman, Dante Wright, had some air fresheners hanging from his rear view mirror. He didn't realize that they were stopping him or pulling him over. He tried to leave the situation. When he finally did stop, he felt, I don't know what he felt, but from the video, she yelled taser 3 times, but she didn't pull out a taser. She pulled out her handgun, shot the gentleman in his chest. He passed away from his injuries. Yeah, she got 2 years. Sound like a slap on the wrist if you ask me. But yeah, Kim Porter got 2 years. And let me just read a little bit from CNN's article. And again, this is an update to that. What were covered: former Brooklyn Center, Minnesota police officer Kim Porter, who claimed mistakenly draws a gun instead of her taser, fatally shot Dante Wright during a traffic stop. Well, she was sentenced to 2 years in prison. Again, that sounds like a slap on the wrist for taking another man's life mistakenly because you said taser and you pulled out your handgun. I think more she should got more than 2 years because you yelled taser, but yet you pulled out your handgun. A taser and a handgun feel totally different. They look totally different. So let me move right along. The sentence is less than prosecutors requested, which is more than 7 years in prison for Wright's death. Potter's attorney argued for a lesser sentence, pointing to her lack of prior criminal history and remorse. Wright's family also asked for the maximum sentence allowable. So her defense was like, yo, she shouldn't be sentenced to 7 years because she has an impeccable clean history. But the family was like, hey, we don't care about her clean history. It only takes once to mess that up. It only takes one time to lose somebody's trust. It only takes once, in her case, to take somebody's life. And that just 2 years, again, slap on the wrist. I'll be moving right along. But again, you guys need to check this article out. Read this. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. Because we always say, yo, leave comments. I always answer comments. So if you leave something, let me know what you think. But we'll be moving right along. And of course, this is your first reminder. Please hit that subscribe, like, share button. We're on the road to 1,000. We're trying to get to 1,000 subs. Hit that first benchmark. With you guys' support, we can definitely get there. All right, moving right along. This was kind of a disturbing story that I read. But basically, a Florida girl is jailed after a classmate posing as her threatens the school. So it was a little black girl, Nia Williams. Hold on one second. Just looking at my notes here. Hold on one second. Hold on. Nia Williams. She was 11 years old. And so there's on social media, she has had little problems with the school, things like that, but nothing this serious. So she was doing at school, doing her thing. Somebody had posted pretending to be Nia Wims, pretending to be her, said she's gonna blow up the school, shoot some staff people. The faculty found out. They went to her. She denied it all, said it wasn't me. I didn't do it. They didn't want to listen. They handcuffed an 11-year-old girl. Handcuffed her. I mean, this isn't the first time we heard things way worse than this. Cops actually flipping girls in the classroom, throwing them to the ground, throwing them in the trees. Like we've seen a different video. So this is the fact that they handcuffed an 11-year-old girl for something she didn't do. It's not surprising. This is the times that we live in, people. But the real person was finally caught. But the whole situation is just messed up. This isn't the first time that we've heard something like this, where somebody is posing as somebody else to get them in trouble. There was a term a couple years ago called swatting, where people will call up the police department, SWAT team, saying, hey, this person has guns, da-da-da. Come to find out they don't. And it's because the person that called the police doesn't like the other person. So this might be a similar situation where a kid may not like her, another girl, another boy, but they pretended to be her and made threats to the school. So, but they were caught. But y'all definitely need to check that out. So messed up. But moving right along, we're starting to get to the last couple of stories of quick news, and then I'll get into the Russia-Ukraine updates. We'll also be talking about inflation briefly, and we'll be ending the show with voting rights and talking about the midterms. And then that's when I'll get into my announcement at the end of the show. But moving right along, this is real quick. Of course, we got to put some COVID news out there. We're always talking about COVID. Please, if you haven't gotten the vaccine, please get vaccinated. And if you have, get the booster. You got Johnson & Johnson, Moderna, Pfizer. There's a couple other ones out there, but those are the big three. If you live in the state of Massachusetts, starting today, the mask mandate has been rolled back. So for if you're going to, stores or anything like that, you don't have to wear a mask. But as I always say, if you haven't been vaccinated, please wear a mask, get vaccinated, do what you can to stay safe and keeping everybody around you safe. With that being said, again, all this stuff you guys probably already heard, but the Queen of England got COVID. Now, there is one news outlet, the only news outlet on the whole globe is saying that the Queen has passed. There have been no updates about her status other than that she has a mild case of COVID. The gentleman that put out the statement that the queen has passed is doubling, tripling down on that. We'll keep you guys updated once we get more information, or once more information comes out, excuse me. Moving right along, because of what's been going on, just in general with the economy, all of with COVID, and now that Russia has invaded Ukraine, that has a big effect on gas prices across the globe. Right now, a barrel of oil is $100. And this is from back in the day. But I read an article that if a barrel of oil, crude oil, was to get higher than $200 a barrel, we're doomed. So right now it's at $100 a barrel. Gas prices are astronomically high. We're still waiting we still got ships on the West Coast that can't even get into the port of California to unload all its goods and things like that. There's still a chip shortage for certain electronic products and things like that. We're in a mess, people. We are in a major mess. But we got to stay vigilant. We got to keep our heads down. We got to keep fighting a good fight. But let me just read a couple key points. Russia, and just like I said earlier, Russia's invasion of Ukraine is expected to have far-reaching implications for energy markets, given Moscow's role as the world's second largest producer of natural gases and one of the world's largest oil-producing nations. With that being said, this is a great argument for why we need to have renewable energies, wind, water, all of that. This is why we need it, because when situations like this happen, we don't have to worry about prices going up or inflation. We don't have to worry about none of that because we're being self-sufficient. We have renewable energy. But because we're a country that relies on oil, when things like this happen, the prices go up. But let me continue. Both Brent and U.S. oil topped $100 for the first time since 2014. So in the last 6-8 years, the price of oil or a barrel of oil has been below $100. But now that Ukraine and Russia is duking it out, prices have gone up, and now a barrel of crude oil is now $100+. Again, if it gets higher than 200, we are in need. We're in dire straits, people. So let's and I'll keep you guys appraised of what's going on with the oil prices. Again, I hope all of this situation gets handled quickly, because almost paying $4.50 at the pump, that ain't what the people want. You know, I got work to go to. I live far away. I needs my gas, okay? And I don't want to be spending $50 at the pump to fill up a Toyota Corolla. Like, that don't even sound right. You feel me? We need to get this stuff handled, and we definitely need to get the Russia-Ukraine situation handled. But lastly, during the afternoon, trading on Wall Street, crude pulled back. With West Texas immediate crude futures briefly dipping into negative territory. So this is affecting everybody. And we know Texas, that was one of the main reasons why Texas got so powerful, so much money, because they had the oil fields and things like that. So it's this war in Russia, Ukraine, it's affecting everybody. It's affecting everybody. I stand with Ukraine, by the way. Let's go. Just wanted to put that out there. And lastly, this last part is a video. This is from The Rising. This is a great news outlet, a lot of good information, but they're talking about federated digital ID. So this is kind of getting into FRID, something that was very prevalent in the early 2000s, mid 2000s. You know, the quote unquote mark of the beast and all. It's crazy stuff. But now banks are reinvigorating that topic, that discussion. And Ken Iverson, she's the one who's reporting on this, does a great job. Y'all need to check out that video. She breaks it down, gets into it, the good, the bad, the ugly, all of that. Y'all definitely need to check that out. And again, this is talking about federated digital ID. So I guess this would be like a step up from FRID chips and wallets and things like that. This is dealing with banks. And when banks start to talk about stuff, that's where people's money is. Things start to change. So I'll definitely keep you guys appraised of that. Y'all need to check that out. So with that being said, I'm going to finish out the remainder of the show. We're going to get into some quick Russia updates. Of course, as you all know, over the weekend, Russia invaded Ukraine. For weeks, Vladimir Putin was lying, saying we're not doing it. It's false. It's the West making up stories, but yet all along he was lying. And we got to get people in check. We got to call him out. He was lying. Everything he was saying up until the invasion was BS. So what happened? He invaded Russia. Russia invaded Ukraine. And let me just give you some quick updates on what's going on. Again, this is being reported by CNN. UN says at least 106 civilians have been reported hurt or killed in Ukraine. 406. That's it's crazy right now. Some people are saying this is kind of going to lead to World War III, and Vladimir Putin just told his nuclear arsenal to stay on high alert. Like, a lot of stuff is going on, a lot of uncertainty. A lot of people are scared, rightly so. It's affecting gas prices, not only in the UK, here in America, but also in Russia. Their stock market has taken a steep dive. Like, a lot of negative things have been coming out of this. It's messed up again. Vladimir Putin, for the last couple of weeks, up until the invasion, has been lying to the globe. Now, I can't even say the American public. He's been lying to the globe. The global community, he has been lying straight to their face. And people need to call him out on that. Because he said, we're not going to invade. We're not doing that. Blase. And what he do? He go and invade Ukraine. Right? So he's a liar. And people need to know that. And if you didn't know, now you know. But let me just give you some quick updates. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky accused Russia of war crimes for bombing the city of Kharkiv. And I probably butchered that name. But basically, a city in Ukraine they've been bombing. They were actually having peace talks earlier today that got totally sidelined when 3 explosions were heard during this meeting right outside Kiev, which is the capital of Ukraine. Because of those 3 explosions, the peace talks that they were having completely just fell apart. Again, Vladimir Putin was lying. He's lying. He's a lying dictator, and he gonna do what he gonna do. And again, people need to call him out for that. He's getting backed by China. A lot of moving parts going on right now. A lot. But let me continue. Zelensky said he is analyzing the results of Monday's talk. So this was yesterday. Excuse me. Or today. I'm sorry. This was today. Between Russia and Ukrainian delegation. The talks came as President Putin ordered his country's deterrent forces, including nuclear arms, to be placed on high alert. That's what I was referring to earlier when I was saying, Putin was telling his nuclear people to be ready. That's what they're saying right here. More than 500,000 refugees have fled Ukraine during Russia's ongoing invasion. The UN said on Monday, earlier today. Having connection. That was it. So that's just a quick, brief, just quick little synopsis of what's been going on. Again, 406 civilians have been either reported hurt or killed during this Ukraine invasion. Let me just read a little bit from the article. There have been at least 406 reported civilian casualties in Ukraine, including at least 102 killed just within the past few days. United Nations Undersecretary General for Humanitarian Affairs and Emergency Relief Coordinator Martin Griffiths said Monday, citing numbers from the Office of the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights. Griffiths addresses the UN Security Council via teleconference from Geneva, adding that the real number of civilian casualties could be considerably higher, as many reported casualties have not yet been confirmed. So basically what he's saying, there are more casualties, it's just those haven't been confirmed yet, but the numbers are keep rolling in. The picture is grim and could get worse still. Aerial attacks and fighting in the urban areas are damaging critical civilian facilities and disrupting essential services such as health, electricity, water, and sanitation, which is effectively leaves civilians without the basics for day-to-day life. So this is serious. This is really serious. It's been serious since Putin's been lying about not invading Ukraine, even though he kept putting troops and more troops right on the border. And because of what's been going on, day-to-day life is non-existent. Bombings are happening, people are dying. Like, this definitely has to get under control. But let me move right along. A pariah state. Is Russia a pariah state? Well, you're probably asking yourself, Case, what's a pariah state? I hear you talking about it, but what is a pariah state? A pariah state, or pariah states, depending on if there's one or more, are considered expelled because of the government. Anyone who does not abide by international rules or refuses to cooperate become a pariah state. And right now, the global community told Russia, hey, don't invade Ukraine. Let's talk about this. You know, Ukraine wanted to be part of the UN, NATO, get all the resources and things to help out their country. Russia was like, not happening. That's why they invaded Ukraine just the other day, just like they did the invading Ukraine, the annexation of Ukraine a couple years ago. They don't want Ukraine to be part of NATO. They don't want to be part of the UN. They don't want it to get the help that it needs. They want to make sure they just rely on them, even though Russia got its own issues. But that's a pariah state. A pariah state is a country whose government doesn't follow international rules or abides by them. And right now, Russia is definitely a pariah state right now. But let me move right along. So that's what a pariah state is. A pariah state is where a state's government does not follow or abide by international laws and or rules. Between Russia and UK, Americans say either stay out or side with Ukraine. Like I said before I started talking about this, I stand with Ukraine. What Russia's doing is not acceptable. It's not cool, and I don't even know anything else to say. But it's not good. And a lot of other of my fellow Americans, have that same kind of thinking. Like, yo, if you're gonna help Ukraine. If not, y'all need to roll out. Let them handle that. We got a whole bunch of issues and things that's going on here in America that we need to take care of. Voting rights, discrimination, racism, what's going on with gun rights, the schools, things like that. Like, we have a lot of work to do here in the United States. So if we're going to be over in Ukraine, we definitely got to help out. We definitely got to help them out. Yeah, and again, these are other Americans, our fellow Americans saying this. Either side with Ukraine or gets to stepping. Simple as that. And lastly, before we move right along, if you guys didn't know, Saturday or Sunday, one of those days, Russia captured Chernobyl. Chernobyl was that big nuclear facility that blew up or had a nuclear meltdown back in the late 80s. Excuse me, sorry about that. Back in the late 80s, totally messed up the whole area. People had to evacuate. There's some animals out there that got 3 eyes and 2 tails, and it's crazy. It's crazy. No, let me stop. But no, they did. Russia did capture Chernobyl. Big consequences. Let me read from the article. This is actually being reported by NPR. Russia's capture of Chernobyl, Chernobyl's nuclear plant in Ukraine and the surrounding exclusion zone raised alarm across the international community, with many world leaders wondering if Russia chose to seize the area for a specific reason. Why would they go to a nuclear facility that doesn't work anymore? Why are they capturing that? But let me continue. But Chernobyl might not actually be the biggest nuclear concern in Ukraine right now, said James Acton, the co-director of the Nuclear Policy Program at Carnegie Endowment for International Peace. What worries him more are the 4 active nuclear plants in the country that contain spent fuel, which is more radioactive than what was left in Chernobyl today. So there's 4 nuclear plants that Russia can control. That is far worse than what's going on in Chernobyl, is what they're saying. Acton says the capture of Chernobyl might be a result of Russia's attempt to conquer the whole of Ukraine, or at least all of eastern Ukraine. And so again, Russia doesn't want Ukraine in NATO. They don't want it with UN. They want to control everything. Now, the Ukraine-Russia situation is very complicated. I'm just keeping it very basic so you guys can have just a quick knowledge of it. Again, everything I'm talking about, you guys definitely need to check out, especially the whole situation between Ukraine and Russia. It goes back years. It's complicated because there was a lot of people that Russia was like, yo, we want Ukraine, so we're going to get some of our citizens and have them live in Ukraine for the rest of their life. So that way, when we want to take over or if we want to do something, we got Russian sympathizers in Ukraine to be like, hey, we're Ukrainian citizens, but we like what Russia's doing, but not realizing that they're actually Russian and they're just pretending to be Ukraine. So again, it's very complicated. I may not even be getting all the facts straight, but y'all definitely need to check that out and do more and get the information as well. But let me move right along. Now we're going to talk about inflation. Again, this is something that we talked about briefly over the past couple of weeks. I brought up the housing market and how the housing prices were just going out of control. You had people bidding $100 million overpriced, throwing in exclusive restaurants, small petty cashes, just so people can get homes, because that's how crazy the market was. Right now, inflation is I won't say it's sky high, but it's getting there. It's at 4.2%. And I have an article explaining why inflation is so high. Y'all definitely need to check that out. But moving right along, again, this is still talking about inflation, housing, the housing market, and it's basically how much will homes price continue to rise in 2022? And they are rising fast. It's unfortunate, but a lot of these hedge fund companies are buying up these private homes, raising the property value in the area, making it harder for first-time home buyers to purchase these homes. It's just a hot mess. And right now, again, like I said earlier, you got people doing $1 million over bidding price for a quick second. For a couple weeks, the price of the housing was going down. But now, again, what's going on with Russia and Ukraine, the oil prices and things starting to rise, the price of homes is starting to rise up again. So there's a lot to know about that. And again, you guys need to read this article to give you all the information. It's crazy, people. I hope you guys are saving. I hope you got a good credit score, because owning a house is beneficial, but it's just very expensive. And a lot of these private corporations, hedge funds, companies are making it even harder for young people, again, first-time home buyers, to actually get into buying a home, getting to own real estate, things like that. They're making it so much harder on top of inflation. I'm speechless, people. I'm speechless. But anyway, let's move right along. And lastly, just to wrap up the home prices are set to soar 12%. So you want to know how hot the last article was saying, how much will home prices continue to rise? This next article is saying the prices are set to rise as high as 12%. And looks like there's no end in sight. So we definitely have to get some laws and policies passed. The top 1% is definitely going to have to start paying their fair share of taxes. We definitely need to get some of these laws that benefit the lower class. We have to get these laws passed so people can have some type of safety net, something. Or if you're not necessarily in lower class and you have a decent amount of money, you can get a house. That's where it starts, building that generational wealth, having a house to where you can pass down to your family, your son, your daughters, keep that in the family. Now you got a place where people, it's beneficial to owning your own home. It's cheaper when it comes to paying mortgage versus rent. Rent right now for a 2-bedroom, you're probably looking at $2,600. Rent for a 3-bedroom and a bath, you might be looking at like $18, $19. So would you want a house, 3-bedroom with a bath, which is cheaper than a 2-bedroom? I think people need to start looking at buying homes. But at the same time, a lot of these companies, the way the economy is making it harder and harder for people to actually get their first home. So I just want to keep you guys appraised of what's going on. 12%, that's high. That's like another 100K on top of what you might be already paying or the asking price for the house. So if the house is like $250, you might be paying $350, $400, and that's $400,000. So stay appraised of what's going on with the housing market. But let me finish up. We're gonna move right along to our last story, and that's voting rights and midterms. As you know, the midterms are happening. They're literally right around the corner. The first place to have its midterm election is Texas. And as you know, Texas has been trying to pass laws that restrict voting access to Black and brown people. They're saying this for everybody, but we know who they're targeting. But with that being said, the first midterm election race is March 1st, tomorrow, and in Texas. And we have two awesome candidates, two progressive candidates running. We have Greg Casar, who's running, and Jessica Cisneros. Again, y'all know I'm horrible with names. I apologize to Miss Greg and Miss Jessica if I mispronounce your name. I'm horrible with names. But they're both good candidates. Jessica Cisneros, she actually ran for office before, but just lost by a few points to her opponent. And right now she's going back against that same opponent, but this time it's looking like she might actually take the victory. So Greg Casar and Jessica Cisneros. Again, y'all know I'm horrible with pronouncing people's names. But those are some of the candidates that's running for office in Texas, and their election for primary midterms start tomorrow. So I'll definitely keep you guys appraised on what's going on. I should have the results. The results will be out tomorrow evening, but I'll definitely talk about them briefly this Thursday for the next show. Both candidates are endorsed by AOC. Y'all know I'm a big AOC fan. And my guy, the Burn, Mr. Bernie Sanders, both of them are great at what they do. They're endorsing both of these candidates. And again, I'll keep you guys appraised about that when on Thursday after results. Of course, I want to talk about Biden's pick for for the Supreme Court, and the wonderful lady, African-American lady that he chose is Ketanji Brown. She's 51 years old. She was a clerk for retiring Justice Stephen Breyer. So she was in there. She was also a federal judge and a public defender. So she has years and years of experience, something that me and Miss Lana talked about a couple weeks ago on our last show. It's about qualifications. No one said anything about Trump when he nominated his people. Nobody batted an eye. But the moment Joe Biden says he wants to add a black lady to the panel, you got Ted Cruz saying some off the wall stuff. You got the whole GOP. Like, no, it don't work like that. She is more than qualified. She was actually a clerk for a sitting justice that's about to retire. So she has the experience. She has the knowledge. She needs to get sworn in. This is the kind of step that we need to be taking in the right direction. And so that is Biden's Supreme Court pick, 51-year-old Ketanji Brown. And again, I probably butchered her name. Y'all know I'm horrible with names. Anyway, moving right along. Hold on one second. This is why I'm sorry about this, people. So I'm just gonna have to just skip that one because I can't actually read it. But these next two articles are basically talking about the two people I talked about from Texas that's running for office. Greg, hold on, sorry about that. We have Greg Casar, and Jessica Cisneros. And again, I'm horrible with names, but that's all I got, people. That's all the information I got. I hope you guys tune in this Thursday. I'll be doing an interview. Hold on one second. Horrible. Here we go. So again, this Thursday, this will be the second show. This is just a makeup show for last week. Things happened. I couldn't do it. I want to do it today. But my announcement is this coming Thursday, I'll be interviewing Amaro Lionheart. He is running for state senate in Florida. We did have him on the show previously, and he was actually running for governor but some things happened. He had to switch it up real quick, and now he's running for Senate. So when we talk with him on Thursday, well, we'll kind of figure out what's going on, why he switched from governor to Senate. But we'll have a great show. He is a great person, great individual. He's a movie buff like myself. You guys know I love my movies. He's a writer. He's a creative, but he's changing his focus to help the people. He's a great individual, great person. So please, I hope you guys tune in this Thursday at 7:30, where we'll be interviewing Amaro Lionheart. Again, he was on the show before. He's returning, real invigorated. He's excited to be back. Excited to be back on the show. And again, excited to be talking with you guys. So tune in this Thursday here on Channel 323 for our interview with Mr. Amaro Lionheart. He's running for State Senate of Florida. And then in a couple weeks, we'll actually be having another guest from Florida, but I'll keep you guys posted and appraised. Once we get closer to that interview, I'll let you guys know who that is. But for this week, this Thursday, 7:30, Amaro Lionheart will be on the show talking about his candidacy for the Senate. But with that being said, thank you guys so much. I love you guys. I miss you. I do apologize for not being able to make it last week, but I'm here today and I will be here this Thursday. So I hope you guys stop by. This is your second reminder. Please like, share, subscribe. I am your host, Aaron Casey, and this is What's Up People News. Y'all have a good night, and I'll see you Thursday.